is a downloadable pattern. When you buy these patterns, this will be sent in the form of a document where you can print. Basically, you print it onto a normal A4 size paper, and I'm going to show you how to put them together before we go on making. Now, you have to make some adjustments, obviously, because the size of the bag is quite big. I can't fit the pattern into a normal A4 size paper. So what I have done is I have used a nice printed black and white paper, which is really nice to work with because you've got some sort of an interest going on instead of just working with plain white paper. And I'll show you one of them, and each one of them, if I can just do a little bit of close-up. Okay, in this pattern you can see here that it says 1, and you've got to go and find the other pattern which matches to this. In here it says 1A. If the pattern has got 2 parts, it will say 1A. So basically, I'll just go ahead and cut this. Don't use fabric scissors to cut paper, you will ruin it. Please keep an extra pair of scissors just to cut your paper. So, okay, I'm going to trim the other side in a minute. Now this one, if you can see, will fit in perfectly. All the pattern pieces are designed in such a way and put together in such a way that they fit each other quite accurately, so you don't have any confusions. As long as you follow the 1A, 1B, how many over parts each pattern piece has got, you're fine, and just go ahead and tape it, and there you have your full pattern. Okay, here we are with all the patterns cut out, and we exactly have got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 pieces of pattern. So if I can arrange it properly, this is the top and bottom part of your bag, and this is the gusset that goes around like that, and the smaller panel, which is rectangle, and you have to cut it on fold. If I can just hold it close, when you see this mark, you always have to cut it on fold, and that goes inside like the zipper panel. Okay, what we need is 2 pairs of denim. Because I'm using 2 colors, I'm using a darker color and I'm using a lighter color. So this was left over from my previous project, and each one of them have been joined together. The panels have been joined together with seamless zigzag join technique. I have also joined the 2 pockets together because I just want to add a little bit of decoration and also a feature of pockets outside. I haven't decided yet which one I'm going to use. I've used both the lighter and the darker denim. Based on the looks, I will decide later on whether I want to use darker or lighter color denim. Okay, I have also chosen my lining. This is the top part and this is the bottom part of the linings, and I'm using a recycled curtain fabric which I rescued from a shop. Go ahead and choose something that you enjoy to work with, because at the end result it's going to be great. Now let's take the denim. This is the bottom panel, and this has got to be on fold. So let me place it and see if this is going to be enough, and there's plenty of fabric left, so instead of wasting that, I'm just going to, the straight line is going to be my shape easy because this is joined in a straight line. So let me put it right, and then that should be okay. So I just pin this in place. The great thing about these pattern papers are, because this is a normal A4 size paper and substantial one compared to all the other brown paper patterns that you get, these are great to mark and cut. Instead of cutting it on the paper, sometimes we end up cutting the paper itself. So I'm just marking with the marking chalk. Okay, here is the bottom part of one side. I need exactly the same pattern of the other. Instead of repeating the same process, what I'm going to do is just put this on top of my denim here, pin it in all 4 corners, and then go ahead and cut this. That way I get 2 identical exact pieces. Okay, I have cut 2 identical pieces of denim for the bottom part of the bag. Now when I place it, I can see there's 2 little notches in the center. Instead of cutting it on the pattern, I simply fold it into half because that's a center mark, and sometimes your fabric might have varied a little bit while cutting because you're dealing with a thick fabric. So then I go ahead and make 2 notch marks right in the center. Now we're going to move on to the top pattern. In here it says this has got to be cut on fold, and I'm going to cut a panel, another panel in this denim. So basically there'll be one in this color, one in this color, and I'm going to match the seams because there's no seam allowance. Just make sure that you join it with seamless zigzag join. That way the patterns won't change, it will be exactly the same like how you would do when it's a normal fold. Okay, I just need to point out one more thing because when I started cutting here, when I started placing the pattern, I just realized there's a join that's come here with seamless zigzag join. And now usually all the patterns have got 1/2 inch seam. So if the seam comes in terms of like, exactly at 1/2 inch, that will create a bulk. So when you're using patched pieces like this, just make sure that you're ever so slightly away from the join that you come across when you cut the panels. So this way I can still see, instead of doing this way, which will again take us into bias, this will create problems later on if the lining is not cut exactly the same in exactly the same direction as the denim. So it's always best to go in straight lines, either this way or this way, just go in straight lines. So if I place it correctly, I've just got enough at this corner, so I'm about an inch away from the join here, so I'm quite secure. If this fabric was not there, what I probably would have done would have gone like, have the join right in the center, go and attach another piece of denim with seamless zigzag join. This is the top half of the bag, and I'm using a darker color and a lighter color. I have to join this with a seamless zigzag join technique. If you have already cut like I have, you've got to be very careful while joining it, because sometimes it could just go wonky like this, or there may not be a straight line. So there's a technique to do it properly. So I thought I'll share this with you because it's very important that you don't make mistakes. Now place this in a straight line, and then take your lining and just make sure the lining is perfectly aligned, because it's all going to be joined like this anyway. So now it's looking pretty good to me, so that's fine. At the same time, I will take a ruler and make sure this is in a straight line. It's very important that this is in a straight line as well. So that when the bottom is in a straight line, and this is, even though if this goes a little bit wonky, it really doesn't matter, because you need to get the whole pattern right to get the final result. So now I'll go ahead and put a shape easy here, and press it iron, and then go and do the zigzag. Ideal thing would be, if you're not so confident in sewing, the ideal thing would be that you do all the joins first and then cut this. Even though you may not get the perfect center here, you might get a join here, join there, but it really doesn't matter. Okay, so let me go and do this, and I'll come back and show you the next step. Okay, I have cut out all the pattern pieces that we need for this project. So this is the bottom half of the bag, and here's the 2 layers of lining, and here's the 2 layers of denim. Now this is the top half of the bag, 2 layers of lining and 2 layers of denim. Same way, this is the zip panel, and there's what I have main fabric cut to, lining cut to, instead of lining and main fabric, because when you use denim, if you end up using 2 layers of denim, it's too thick for the zipper panel. So I have used 2 layers of lining. If you're using really thin lining, I probably would suggest that 1 layer you go for the denim and 1 layer thin lining. This is quite a substantial fabric, and this is rescued out of curtain. It's quite thick and neat, so I'm going to use 4 layers of this. And for the gusset, we have got 1 layer of lining and 1 layer of denim. And the denim, I have made a few different patches of 2 colors, because I couldn't get the long strip in the same. I really didn't want to cut another pair of denim just for this, so I've joined several joins. Okay, let me keep the gusset and the zip panel away from here, and also the top panel. Now this is for the pocket, inside pocket, and I have cut one exactly the same size as the pattern, and the other one, because I had extra fabric, instead of wasting it, I thought I'll show you how to make a bigger pocket. This will actually show you sometimes when it's inside something like pockets, you really don't have to follow the pattern. In case if you've got a smaller fabric or larger fabric, you can maneuver a little bit and change it a little bit as per your taste. So anyway, this was wide enough. The only criteria I will mention is when you fold this into half, just make sure it isn't larger than the size here. It can go larger, it's just that if you have such a big pocket, it will, your things will get lost in it. What I plan to do is to show you how I can stitch this at the bottom, so that the bottom of the pocket will go into the bottom join, and then these two sides I'm going to show you how I finish this. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to take the pockets, and there are 2 notches on either side of this pocket, which I haven't made yet, so let me just go ahead and make it.